Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. So we continue the conversation from last episode. Actually, the plan was to go post everything at once. When I saw it was over an hour, 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, we have to pause. So this is going to be the rest of the conversation. So we finish up with the Christian and we have some afterthoughts after they decide to leave. So that's basically what this episode is about. So if you haven't subscribed up, please Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube and other places you find podcasts, check them out. Whichever one is you prefer, subscribe up. Then check out the show notes for links you will find useful, especially Discord. That's where we have moved to. If you want to share your story, if you want to have such discussions, use the link below, the Discord server. Join us. We'd love to have you there. So let's go and listen to the rest of our conversation with our Christian friend.
So if you have several statements, you can say Obi is a boy, Obi is a girl, Obi is a whatever. But if you can't prove that statement is true without reasonable doubts, then all those statements are just set to the wind.
My network.
It's just as basic as that.
Yeah, so a scenario, you know why I was asking what he said? See, there's one thing with me, if it's about reading, I've read a lot on religion, and I just wanted you to tell me what he said about Jesus that proves that Jesus existed. Pliny the Younger never wrote anything about the existence of Jesus. Never. You just showed me that you don't read this stuff. Maybe you just Google searched it. If you can tell me what
on one Christian site.
Yes, you just Google search this thing. He was a governor. He was a Roman governor. And he wrote a letter. He was just talking about the persecution of Christians and how he should deal with Christians. That was all he wrote about. It was a letter taken in 100 and something AD. He wrote a letter. That's why I asked you the year. He wrote a letter talking about the Christians and executing the Christians when they are put on trial. That was all. He didn't talk about anything about Jesus Christ or.
I'll send something about that when I get that.
Yes,
but then wait, calm down.
No.
Many of these evidences you're talking about, right?
Mm-mm.
They were first things first, they were non-Christian sources, right? So meaning that most of what they were writing about were narrations, or they were not directly, how do I put it? They were not directly trying to prove Christianity. They were just like secondarily writing about Christianity or Jesus in quote. You understand? It wasn't like
about Christians.
It wasn't like they were trying to describe Christians or something. It was just most of them are secondary writings, right? Regarding Christianity.
After it's AD. Oh wow.
Wait,
so
that's looking. My point is that these writings, like you said, they do not attest to the existence of Jesus. They only attest that as a matter of fact, there are people who follow this religion. Not anything
some specifically talked about Jesus Christ,
Joseph.
Yeah, he specifically talked about Jesus Christ as well.
What did Joseph say about? What did Joseph say about Jesus?
The kind of man that he was. Now, he said that whether I should write of him as a man or as something else, I do not know. And then he said something like his teachings have gone forth from the Jewish sect or something like that. I don't really recall it. It has been a long time since I've said some of these things.
Yeah,
that was pretty much the line of what he was trying to say.
Yes, I remember the book, The Antiquities of the Jews, and some other. Josephus wrote about many Jesuses because many Jesuses came up. Jesus was a popular name, and many of the messianic figures came out as
but that was a prophecy of Bible now.
Oh,
good.
God.
So he wrote about many people who claimed to be the Messiah. Mm-hmm. Many people, and then he wrote also, you could say he wrote about, so it's something.
But he
Everybody
wrote
was claiming why there's
specifically
not to be
about
only one
Christians
Messiah.
as well. No, Jesus Christ himself said it that there'll be different messiahs that would come, in quotes.
Oh, really?
So that's a biblical prophecy that was being fulfilled. But then what I'm saying is this, that many of these people were not directly trying to talk about Christianity. They were just like secondary attestations to Christianity. And the truth is that that's how most of history is like, right? It's not really as if, although some figures, right, have direct, biologies about themselves and all of that. But for many other parts of history, most of these are just like secondary narrations. It's not like the people were there when it happened. Some of them were written like 300, 500 years after the person has gone. Like, I think Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great, some of them like that, they had like about 200-year gaps
No,
since their existence.
Julius Caesar. No, Julius Caesar even wrote about himself more than what people.
No, I'm talking of this. I'm talking of secondary.
Because if we had writings of Jesus himself, it would have been an argument. Julius Caesar wrote about him.
Bro, come on. Jesus' disciples were writing down what they heard from him now.
Jesus' disciples were illiterates and fishermen. They didn't write it.
So Luke was an illiterate or what? Luke was writing it and he wrote it from eyewitness accounts.
Luke
now.
was not a disciple
It's
of
not
Jesus.
which eyewitness?
Bro, are you not getting my point?
Eyewitness, Bawo. Book that was written at least 4 decades after the supposed death. Eyewitness.
Luke wrote most of his books, right? Based on what he got from people who were present in those days. Like, come on, read the book for God's sake now. It was there. He's clearly stated it. Eyewitnesses now.
Look.
I don't like. Should we read the book? Should we read the book of Luke? Should we read the book of Luke and Acts?
You want to write the nonsense?
Let's open to the book of Luke and Acts. I don't like all this unnecessary.
If I write a book now, and I said this book was gotten from eyewitness that saw when Tinubu sold drugs or something, does that mean it doesn't mean anything? We look at it. They say book. Wait, calm down. Listen.
Oh my God!
The book of Luke.
It's like you don't understand how history was written. I don't like this.
You don't
like what? You don't like that. We're not accepting your bullshit. Sorry.
You are talking. You seem like someone who Google searches a lot, but calm down and listen. The book of Luke is a fiction, and I can prove it to you if you are actually a person that reads. I'll give you some books to read. You can read real literature that have been in existence 600 years before the book of Luke came out, and I will show you the parallels between the stories of Luke and Acts, because the same writer of Luke wrote the book of Acts, and these things had many parallels. You can read the Bankai. Is a Greek literature that has been in existence 400, 500 years before the book of Luke, or before Jesus even existed, and it talks about how Paul. In the book of Acts talks about how Paul and Silas went into the prison, and earthquake happened, and then they went out, did this thing, blah, blah, blah. This same story is in the Bankai. It is the same story of how they were captured, how he was put into, that was Dionysus, was put into the prison, how he made an earthquake happen, but he did not escape. Because when the guard came, the guard drew out his sword. Exactly. I'm not even formulating stuff. You can go and read it. It's as old, it's 600 years older than the book of Acts. These are parallels. These were people writing in Greco-Roman word. These are people writing in Greco-Roman word to Greco-Roman audience. In order to win a people, you have to give them a story that they are used to. Bring up your own hero in that form. It's how there's no idea that it's original.
Good versus evil. That's why the villain and hero always have the same power but opposite, but in reverse.
It's so wait, okay. First things first. The fact that whatever fictional book was written several years ago, whatever, and it's similar to what the Bible wrote, does not mean that that's where the Bible got it from.
Similar.
So word for word. Let's even say it's word for word, whatever.
Exact word for word. Taken from the Bankai and are put in the book of Acts and Luke.
if you want to say that, that's your subjective
It's not subjective. I'm telling you
disposition,
that
right?
you want to read.
Wait, calm
You want
down now.
to
Calm
read.
down, calm
Nah, it's
down, calm
subjective.
down. May I just make my point?
Everything comes
So
down.
let's even talk about let's even move past that now. Okay. So you said that they are the same with something that was written years before. Right. Okay, no problem. But then you have to ask yourself this question. The prophecy about Jesus Christ, were those books written way before then?
Which prophecies about
Because
Jesus?
okay,
The ones that
right.
were baked into
So
Isaiah.
you're baked into Isaiah. Okay,
The one,
now you take come inside that.
is it the
So
one that
so
Christians interpreted to read what
is it the one that what?
that Christians interpreted to suit the narrative?
Brother, ranting stuff. You know, say you love the song, just sing enjoy it.
I've been singing that song before you were born. Don't you understand? So it's
Okay,
etched in my memory.
yeah.
So
That's a
now,
good thing at least. So okay,
when
This
did
one
you
just wake up.
wait, okay, now may I finish? Oh
okay,
Jesus.
okay,
May I
no
just
dey
finish?
sleep.
tell me about the
I can't even get the point. I can't even get the point across. What I'm trying to say is this. The Bible there are several prophecies in the Old Testament about
Okay.
Jesus Christ, right? Before he even came.
No,
So that's so that's number one. Number
there's
two, the
one.
Old
There's one.
Testament.
Not a fact.
Wait
You haven't shown me.
now.
Can you show me the
Lumi,
I
come
should
and
show
help
you
your
prophecies
guy.
about Jesus Christ. I should show you prophecies about
yeah,
Jesus Christ in the
about
Bible.
Jesus? Yes.
That's not. I'm not. Wait, let me just make my submission, then I can show you that. I don't want
Okay.
to lose this track.
Okay.
So what
I
I'm
will
trying
wait.
to say is that yeah. So there are several prophecies about Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. Number one. Number two, the Old Testament was canonized before Jesus Christ came. So this book of Genesis, yep.
Testament
This
was
book
not
of
nice before.
this book of
That
you can research it for yourself. This book of
is not.
Genesis to wait now. I'm saying Old Testament. I'm not
The
talking about
Pentateuch.
the Christian book.
Pentateuch.
Oh.
It's not true.
I'm not talking about the Christian
The
Old Testament.
Pentateuch,
I'm talking about the Jewish Tanakh.
Wrong.
I'm talking
Is
about
it
the Jewish
Pentateuch,
Tanakh.
Old
Abi,
Testament
Tanakh,
is
or Torah? They have
I'm
three
talking
different
about
names.
the
I'm
Old
talking about the
Testament.
Jewish Tanakh.
Your
You
Old
said?
Testament is not the Jewish Tanakh. Oh.
Is this wait? The only
You people,
the major wait, calm down now. Let me just make my point
you
for
have so
God's
many of
sake
the books, but
now.
it's not
Jesus
just
is
it's
Lord.
not just that.
Ogie, the major difference between the Christian Old Testament and Jewish Tanakh is that the arrangements are quite different. Yes, in the Jewish Tanakh, Genesis, it starts from Genesis and ends at Second Chronicles. Yes, they arranged it based on order, but in Christian Old Testament, it's arranged based on genre. Yes, that's like the major difference. But when you look at the content itself, it's still very very much similar, except for some maybe language barriers or semantic stuff like that. But when you read the context, it's still very much similar. With the same book of Isaiah 7, where you talk about virgin birth. If you read the
Mm.
Jewish Tanakh, it's there. It's literally there
No,
in their Tanakh.
no, it's
So,
not. It's not. The Jewish Tanakh
okay.
doesn't talk about a virgin birth. The
Okay.
Jewish Tanakh talks about a young woman giving birth, not a virgin.
Brother,
It is
brother,
simple.
no start this thing. No start
It's
this thing.
simple. What was
You want us to
Alma,
start
and
going?
what's the
You
other
want us
word?
to start going back to Hebrew?
wait,
You want us to start going
Senayo.
back to Hebrew?
Don't
What was the
listen,
word
you
that was
start
used? What was the word that was used in the Tanakh?
Is it in the Greek, in the Septuagint, or in the?
It's the Old
Septuagint.
Testament now. You know, it's to be Aramaic now.
The Hebrew word that was used. What was the Hebrew word used to describe a virgin, according to you?
Okay. Yeah, Google. Yeah, don't Google.
You want to go Google now?
Chat GPT.
Kai.
Chat GPT. No, it's not chat.
No, it's allowed now. Make it learn. It's allowed.
Chat
So I don't like
GPT.
when people argue what they don't know. He was so confident.
But it just sometimes there could be flaws. I mean, imperfection. But
True.
there's something. Yeah. So there's something me I'd like to add. Like I think Senator should look up on which has to do with the year when religion started. Should I say about let's just say about the thousands of years the religion started. Now, the religions that predated it, what was their like their story when it comes to maybe their doctrines?
Nobody
Let's say, for
gives a fuck.
instance, yeah, no. The reason why I'm bringing this into context is maybe when they try to explain about their religion, they try to maybe talk about their religion. We talk about the religion that comes before even their religion existed. So, such as the Zoroastrianic religion. Now, the concept of that religion alone is what you can say the biblical, should I say, the good and evil part of, let's say, there's a God, there's a devil, is what the Bible or what the Christianic or the Abrahamic religion taught from. Because you can't tell me a religion will just come out from nothing all of a sudden. When, if you look back, thousands of years before that, there was actually a religion that was talking about good and evil even before. So when they talk about all these stories that they've copied from one place to the other to try to talk about, to maybe say it in a different way, bring out some whatever new actors, and I mean bring out new plots and new twists, whatever they have in the new concept, does not mean that maybe does not show the authenticity of that particular religion, right? So I think maybe when they talk about the religion, they should try to read concepts about maybe what happened, what do you think has happened before the religion existed? What do you think? And even within that religion, they should compare it with other religions and other stories that predates that particular religion. I think that could be what is actually missing if people care to actually look at these things. But that's just my own 2 cents, because when you hear all this, it all boils down to, okay, the Bible. Now, if you go to the Bible, it's just back and forth. Talk about maybe something that they tell you abstract. So it's just jumping from pillar to post, and it doesn't really cut it for me. And I just, maybe me, my own is just to listen and learn, and just make my bounce, and go about my way anyway. So
Yeah,
allow
yeah.
Senayo to
He will do his Google
just try his best to do
his
justice to his religion.
research. Yeah, Ademola,
I'll be leaving
I
by
did
I'll
read
be leaving
on
by 12.
Zoroastrianism once, and I understood the Hellenization process that brought Judaism to the point where it was, where the Satan character actually evolved from what it was in Job, from
Aha,
a court clerk to something evil. Yeah, in Zoroastrianism was a Persian religion, and
aha.
they had these two gods, the Andromenu and Ahura Mazda, which is the god of light
Ahura
and
Master, yeah.
darkness. Yeah, so that this the concept of hell, the concept of eternal life and stuff actually came from the
Yeah,
religion, which was about,
yeah.
I think, 539 BCE, when the Cyrus the Great of Persia did conquer
Mm,
Babylon. So it was around that
yeah.
period when Israel became a colony of Persia, that they took this Persian theology and used it to develop their own
Omo, I just confused now. I think saying that
Why?
Sana on the talk. I was almost asking like, how can you know this and still be saying the things you are saying? But carry on.
It can never be scenario, bro. If you know something like that, you wouldn't be.
What
You'd
you're,
be
what you're
very
talking
humble
about,
when
what
you
you're,
talk about religion.
what you're talking about does not in any way deviate from what the Bible has already said. Because number one,
Martin,
So
calm
this
down
guy,
now,
this guy,
calm down. You're talking about was around the time of when Nehemiah and Ezra were, writing some of the scrolls, and they were already pre-existing, scrolls that they used when Cyrus allowed the Jews to return back to Jerusalem to build the temple and to build back the walls of Jerusalem. For God's sake, there were already scriptures that they read to the congregation now. So you saying Cyrus came with Zoroastrianism, whatever you call it, it still doesn't negate the fact that there were pre-existing Jewish scriptures that the Jews were using as at that time. Before, yes, obviously, some of the other scriptures were written, within that period and after that period. But what I'm saying is that there were pre-existing scriptures
Nobody
already.
pre-existing scriptures. I'm telling you, the development of a Satan character came after Zoroastrianism. And it's a proven fact in scholarship. It's not something debatable.
No,
You can look it up. That's what. No. Serious. This thing that I just said. This statement I just made. You can look it up. The idea of good and evil. Look it up and compare it with religion, like your Abrahamic religion, and see how it defines it, plays down to your religion. That's just it.
But good and evil had already existed. Ademola, good and evil had already existed. I'm going by 12, sure. So, but then let me just say this: good and evil had already existed in the scriptures before that period he's talking about. That's what I'm saying. And there were pre-existing scriptures already before that period. Now,
What resistance about Satan character and God and Satan character, where Satan was evil and all that? What praise?
The book of the book of Genesis.
What does book of Genesis?
Or when he talks about the serpent coming.
The serpent wasn't Satan in the book of Genesis.
No, the serpent wasn't Satan in the book of
at all.
When he talks about the sons of God coming down too.
The sons of God coming down to earth, which was taken from the book of Job and Enoch. Enoch.
Wait. What you are talking about? We are talking about now. I'm talking about the pre-existing concept of good and evil in scriptures before the time you are talking about, right? So it's not about whether they were cutting from Enoch or whatever. What I'm saying is that it pre-existed before this.
We're not talking about good and evil as a concept. Good and evil as persons. God being good, the embodiment of good, and Satan being the embodiment of evil.
Now, haven't you read the scriptures? Haven't you read Genesis? I don't understand.
What Genesis say about Satan?
Even when you talk about Satan, what's your talk about? Is it about evil or Satan?
What about an embodiment of evil?
About an embodiment of evil.
Yes, God is the embodiment of good. Satan is the embodiment of evil. That concept came after Zoroastrianism had influence over Second Temple Judaism. You can look it up. It's not hidden facts.
So wait. So basically, you're trying to say that the serpent in quote is not.
The serpent was not Satan.
That's based on your own belief.
It's not based on belief. It's based
on... wait. Based on the Bible, which is one singular story. Right? The Bible clearly stated that the old serpent, we read the book of Revelation. So I don't read scriptures in isolation. Right? So the Bible makes it very clear that old serpent in the book of Genesis, which was before your Zoroastrian.
The author of the book of Revelation did that linking. That was not the original idea.
That's the problem. That's the problem you are mistaking now. You're leaving out the element. You're leaving out the element of a spirit being and faith, right? Empowering the scriptures, right? So when you're telling me that the author of Revelations was saying something different from what Genesis was saying, as a script, as just generally, it doesn't add up, because the whole scriptures follow along the same line.
They don't.
So there are some things. That's your own
books written by different authors, different times, for different audience, with different things in mind.
When the book of Genesis was written,
had no linking with Christianity, and they had their own teachings, their own doctrines in mind. They never equated the serpent, devil.
Not at all.
The serpent.
Not at all.
Listen and learn. Stop arguing blindly. You have a faith belief, and your faith beliefs makes you to read things harmoniously. But these texts are not harmonious. These texts were written over centuries by different authors who might never have even met themselves. The book of Genesis was written.
That there were prophecies about these authors that were going to come. For God's sake, that's what I'm saying.
Which authors?
Moses prophesied that a prophet was going to come. Right?
Moses prophesied
who will lead the Israelites exactly similar to how he was leading them. For God's sake, he prophesied that prophets were going to come after him. That was what he was saying now. So you can't just disqualify the prophets that came after him.
The books were written by authors. Authors have different reasons for writing different books. books are written for different purposes. If I write a book today, I have an audience, I have a reason why I'm writing a book. The book of Genesis and the book of Revelation, the person that wrote the book of Genesis didn't have John of Patmos in mind. They didn't write the same thing. They didn't write for the same audience. They didn't write for the same cultural context. Nothing alike. They're nothing alike. The first book of the Bible we know, the oldest, is the book of Job. The book of Job did not present Satan as a person that was cast out of heaven. The book of Job prescribes Satan as a person who was a court clerk in the gathering of Yahweh. And when the sons of God gathered, the Satan is a title. It means the accuser. The Satan was there amongst them. The Satan. David was called the Satan of Goliath. It is just the accuser. The Satan was never a term used to demonize or anything. It had its own specific purpose. Linking John of Patmos, who literally wrote, I don't even know what that guy wrote. That Patmos Island is Patmos Island is known for weed and intoxicating substance.
I'm not even ready for that.
God know what he's
that's your own belief. But what I'm saying is this, Ogi. When you read the book of Zechariah, which was like way after Job.
Now.
Eh?
We've left the book of Genesis. We are done with the book of...
No, I'm talking about the Satan you're talking about now, the accuser. I'm telling you, when you read the book of Zechariah, which was centuries after Job, you can still see Satan appear before the high priest Joshua and do the same thing that he was doing, where he was almost exactly the same thing he was doing in Job. That was what he was still doing in Zechariah. He was accusing the high priest of how his garment was stained. Right. So what you are describing is just one aspect of Satan that Job described, which Zechariah still said the same thing again in his own part. Other books of the Bible describe other parts of Satan. You have to understand that there was a progressive growth in knowledge. It's not as if the whole thing just landed on Moses' head one day, bam. There are other things that God revealed to some other prophets, of which Moses told them that, look, a prophet is going to come after me that will lead you similar to how I'm leading you, right? But then how you will know these prophets are true is if what they say comes to pass, right? If what they say
which knowledge was given to Moses? I really don't understand that part, because all we know about Moses was written like in the second century, Second Temple Judaism. That's when any writing of Moses or the Genesis.
That's what you say.
It's not what I believe. It's what go and read scholarship. Do you just take things from
the scholars don't wake up one morning and just write the book of Moses, something that's been existing since over 600 BC. For God's sake, now why are you doing this?
What are you saying? I never said
the book. Saying scholars wrote the book of Moses in books of Moses in 2nd century.
What are you hearing?
I said they wrote it in the 2nd century now. What did you just say?
I said scholars wrote. Scholars have dated the book of the first 5 books that you attribute to Moses to have been written in Second Temple Judaism, which was according to how
that's inaccurate. That's very inaccurate. Especially when you read the Bible, it doesn't even make sense. That doesn't just make sense.
What do you mean by it doesn't make sense?
As in this guy cannot just step on the Bible. He's siloed in that Bible.
No. Wait, calm down. When you talk about, you're saying the Bible was written in 2nd century, whatever. In the time of,
I didn't say the Bible. Those 5 books that you
those books. You said they were written in the time of what? What did you say?
The time of during their captivity, during the Israelite captivity.
That's very inaccurate, right? Because that's very inaccurate because when Cyrus allowed the Jews to return, right, they found out that they discovered some of the books of the Bible. When you read the book of Nehemiah, you understand that they read out the law, right, to the Israelites. The law wasn't something that was just written by Ezra. It was pre-existing. right? And Ezra was narrating what happened when you read the book of Nehemiah and Ezra, they were narrating what happened in that period, and they made it clear that they read out the law once again to the Israelites, meaning that the law was not something that they wrote for themselves. It was something that that was in existence before them. Many of the manuscripts were destroyed, yes, but there were still some that were preserved, right?
Mhm.
And they read it out to the Israelites in after they finished building the wall of Jerusalem and the second temple back again. That was after Cyrus allowed them to leave. So when you say that they wrote that law in the time of captivity, it doesn't add up, because many of the prophets were quoting from the law. How can they write a quote from a law that they were writing?
Do you know that? Do you know that
No,
many the tradition they have the oral tradition?
very true. Very true. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying
Okay.
that. That's very
So
true. That's very true. But then there
what
were also manuscripts that existed. That's what I'm also saying. Yes, there was a very good
manuscript
oral
but
tradition, but there was also manuscripts that existed. When you read the
written
book of Second Kings, for example, you see where I think the name of the priest was, I think it's Hosea. I can't remember the exact name of the priest, sha, but there was, I think it's Hosea or Hilkiah, one of them. So there was a particular priest that discovered the some of the books of Moses in the temple,
there's
because
no
the
book
Israelites had
that
some of
doesn't
the
exist.
writings of Moses. Wait
Moses
now.
does don't have any writing attributed to Moses. That's a flawed this thing. It's only bread
I
and
think
butter
I'm done, Sha.
Christians
I think
actually
I'm done. I
believe
think
that.
I'm done. I think
Only
I'm done.
bread and butter
So
Christians.
your own mindset is that Moses must carry pen and write the book before you know it's
Moses
from
didn't
Moses.
write shit.
Don't worry, Sha. I'm done, Sha.
Is established
So
facts.
no problem.
If
That's
you don't
your that's your
know of the
that's your
J,
that's
it's
your
not
thought
it's not
process.
my own. It's you.
It's your
You
thought
So
process, brother.
that's a fact that
it's
Moses
not
It's your
didn't
it's a
thought
write the
process,
fact.
book.
brother. Don't be saying
It's a
things that just
fact.
don't things that
It's a
just don't add up.
fact. If you are ignorant, state you are ignorant. It's a fact.
Brother, there's nothing about this thing. If you
It's
make a if you make a
fact.
if you make a
Go and
if you
research.
make a
Don't
if you make a particular claim, at least let it tally with whatever you're talking about, right? So you're saying that Moses did not write a book, that
Moses did not
was
write.
scribes or something that wrote those books.
Moses didn't write shit.
First things first, you made the statement that there was oral tradition. Now you said that Moses didn't write this, so you expect
Moses
Moses
didn't
to
write.
have written it by his hand.
Is oral tradition written?
So I'm done, Sha. Don't
Fact
worry.
made
Maybe
mention
another
that
time.
oral
Maybe
tradition.
another time. Maybe another time.
Yeah, and please, while you are away, please try and learn. If you know about the JEPD
I
source,
would.
if you know about the JPD source, you understand that these sources were written, these books were written by different sources. They have the Yahweh source, they have the Elohim source, they have
Brother,
the
that is how books were written by scribes in those days. For what you're
so
saying doesn't invalidate. You don't understand. Like
Moses didn't
what you're trying to say
any
is that everything must have been written by Moses by himself for us to validate that, okay, this is true. But
no
that was not how things worked in those days. That's
dating
what
that
I'm trying
was
to say. For
dated,
God's
the
sake.
dating that was given to the existence of Moses was not when these manuscripts were written. That is why it was can never be Moses.
The dating that was given to.
Yes, at the time
So
when Moses,
I'm done,
at the
sure. I'm
time
done,
the
sure.
Exodus happened according to the Bible, there are dates. You can find dates because it talks about the years that they were in captivity. It talks about the king that was ruling at the point, and that could now give us, because the Egyptians also had their own record, so you could now tally this record and see if Moses existed at the time of this king, then
Oh,
this
if you want to talk about
not
Egyptian records, the Egyptian records actually validates an Exodus
validates an
of
exodus
yes.
of
In the
who.
When you read I can't remember the exact name of that writing, but I can check it for you. They specifically wrote that there was a group of exiles that left Egypt because they brought a plague on Egypt, right? Something like a disease in quote on Egypt. So they exiled those group of people. It didn't specify that they were Israelites, right? But it was it's part of the Egyptian records, right? So if you're going to talk about Exodus, most likely those group of people that were exiled, well, there's no 100% certainty, but we can at least to a reasonable
No,
extent,
it's not about
portray
100%.
that they may
That
be
one, that is
Israelites.
90%. That is 90% false. Just so you know, I'm trying not
If
to talk too
Just
much
no,
to avoid
David,
avoid disturbing.
even if it's true, let's just talk
oh
South.
guys, I'm going sure. Maybe another time.
Ramses
Maybe another time.
was the king in the Exodus of what they call him of Moses. Ramses died in the water according to the Exodus, but we still have record of Ramses ruling till he actually died and was buried.
Apparently,
So
like honestly,
just say rubbish.
honestly, I tried my best not to talk so it doesn't become like the guy we faced on Sunday. You also saw how I reacted. That's what I was trying to avoid. Because honestly, when this guy is trying to twist historical facts or bend history to suit his narrative, that's like literally where I always lose it. Like, make up as much lies as you want to, but don't try to mess with something that's been proven to fit. Like, what the hell? They called Pliny the what they call him? He called Pliny the Younger. Said that he talked about. Are you? Let me not blow up. I beg.
Did you notice a pattern in his conversation that I think? Do you notice, if you could notice? You notice that all his references are the Bible. It's just
I
around
said
the
it's
Bible.
fucking sideload. That's why I just kept quiet. It's sideload.
Everything he has been saying.
So Ranting, you did here since.
Reiterate.
I just
the
kept
book of
quiet.
the
The guy
Bible.
was talking the Bible. There was
That's what he's
nothing
saying.
you could say.
He
Nothing.
doesn't go outside the box to even reference, to even recheck the other fact. To see, you don't acquire knowledge by just reading a text.
The Bible,
Do you understand? You don't acquire. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's so
He just kept
disappointing.
I think he
but
just
what
like
can I
read
do?
the Bible. He just read
I just
some
don't want
Bible
to.
stuff, then probably look up some apologetics. Like, imagine saying the virgin birth was in the Tarak. Like, I literally wanted to unmute and talk at that point, but I was like, nah, I know. But I thought
So it's for me. I see it's just like I feel it's like it's ignorance, all right. And it's something that maybe he has to maybe so we just need to maybe keep talking about till maybe we people gets it. Like, you don't need to you can't say, okay, you want to read or you want to check an history or you want to check one particular time and you just have a reference such as the Bible. Hi, just one reference. It's just I don't know, man. There are so many like other books, historical books, notable historical books that you can look up to. I mean, you whenever somebody asks you or talks to you about or contradicts or your opinion or what your thought pattern about what you've read in the Bible, you pick up your sticks and you want to fight without even knowing what the person is about or what the point the person is. Anyways, my own is when he comes here, anytime I notice, I'll call him out for it, and I would ensure that I should say, okay, let's just. I know he would not want to have the conversation because the Bible is so precious to him. So, but I'll try to force his hand to let's both use different books. Based on that same pattern, let's try to use different. Let's learn from different books just for like a brief second, and let's see how it will go. Not like you now. No, the Bible is like it has a good reference, no doubt about it. But then there are some inconsistencies that we find there, and there are some other patterns that other books that we have, and you are dismissing those books and you are dismissing those researches. But it's fine.
It's always the Bible. The Bible is true because the Bible says it's true. Very simple.
Exactly, getting their facts
It's like
from
pouring
people
water
that are
out
not even
your
correct.
head, like when you're in the beach.
Yeah, Oj, you were saying something. I didn't hear you. Sorry if I'm pronouncing the name. Rita.
Yeah, I said they are just giving references to the Bible. Like, no, they're giving references to the Bible when the Bible itself is very wrong. No, if I'm putting it right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's the
yeah, we
problem.
can.
They don't believe it's wrong. They put it out
Yes,
there.
I can hear.
It's like I used to tell
They
people, do you
bring
make
out facts. Okay, where does this fact come from? The Bible. Okay, any other place where the Bible, the fact is no, just the Bible. Like the circle, it keeps going round and round. Like I thought we were coming here to come and gist, but that guy just came here to come and be saying nonsense, and that I'm bored. Don't know why
Ah,
you guys didn't stop him from
no,
making noise.
Rita, this is not the first time. He's our regular customer.
He always comes up like when we're having like the Bible studies and all, he's always in the comments capping all the time. So I think it was great to at least have a conversation with him today to know where his thought process goes. And apparently he was not as different as I thought he would be. He's all circled around the Bible. Imagine still thinking Moses wrote books. Again, let me just mute before I blow up here because I was just hearing nonsense throughout. Then he was trying to use the whole like that very cliche, like you can't see, you don't, can you see love? Can you test love? Like all these questions have been answered for a long time. And although at one point it worked on me, I don't like that dumb analogy worked on me, but you can't be bringing that back in 2023. Like really.
I always tell people it's abstract, and the abstract is a reproduction of the physical brain. So we can attribute it to be a physical component. It's that simple. Like you can feel pain, but can you see pain? No, but you know how pain is inflicted. It's physical. Like can we just? I had this conversation with because I'm always
Hormones. There are hormones secreted when you feel love, when you feel pain. These are physical entities. It's just like a justification of the behavior or whatever sequence as regards maybe when they try to say abstract. It's these things are actually felt. So how do you now just say abstract 100%?
They know.
You don't give me a headache.
I was talking to one Christ Embassy pastor. I went to my barbing salon when I was in school in Benin. So my barber, he knows me very well. So when the pastor came in, we were having conversation, me and the guy. The pastor wanted John to chime in. The guy told the pastor, he was telling the pastor, don't talk to this guy, don't worry, you will not understand. Because my barber and I, we have an understanding. He's a Christian, but we have this understanding. We talk very well, and we have Jesus, we laugh, we already understand ourselves. But this pastor wanted to come in, and he sounded very stupid. My face went red. I just told him good night, sir. And I walked out because I didn't want to insult him. So this man told me, he said I should put my hand in front of the fan. I put my hand in front of the fan. He said, can I feel the breeze? I said, yes. He said, can I see it? I said, no. He now started laughing. He stood up from his seat like as if, oh, God's you. I just
that fucking laugh.
As if you said something important.
I swear.
That fucking laugh. Why do they always do that shit? That is so annoying.
I wanted to tell the man that you are the dumbest person. I just filmed and told him good night, sir. I just went out of the barbing salon. Because if I stayed here,
respect will follow now. Yeah, now that time you just have to just respect and go on.
The guy did drop mic and he went.
No, that day I did not believe my ears. I thought I was going to hear something intelligent. I did not believe my ears.
Wait, I'm lost. What are you guys talking about?
It's just a reference about abstract. We know when they say abstract, they say it can't be felt. It cannot be. It's not physical. Like basically, just like we are just trying to explain the concept behind. Maybe when you talk about something that you can't actually physically like directly touch, but you can experience it physically. But people dismiss the fact that actually the experience is actually physical, and we are it's trying to label some examples.
No, the man was crazy. He just brought up.
Okay. And some of these pastors, but you know my experience about pastors that annoy me. This is like a little bit away. It's about all these pastors that preach maybe when you're in the bus, like in a public bus.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Please subscribe up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places you find podcasts. Check out the show notes for links you may find useful, especially Discord. We'd love to see you there. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.